All right, how's everybody doing today? Good. A lot of excitement. A lot of excitement. All right. So, links get no love. I have an exciting title. A lot of people have asked me about it. I don't know if my presentation is going to live up to that, but I'm going to try. It's a little bit about me. I did put Google Certified Teacher to be because I don't want to jinx myself. I'm going to Google Teacher Academy in Chicago this summer. I work at Forest Park School District. That's a small K-8 school just outside of Chicago. So feel free to look me up. Here's my contact information if you ever want to try to get a hold of me or if you have any questions. And in case I'm going too fast, here's a link to the slides, which is my first example of how you can use links. Okay? So I'll leave that one up there for just a second. The reason I chose this topic is I think links, they don't get any love. People don't use the links in Google Docs. People love to share, and I see people type in names all the time. So if you're an advanced user, you may know everything I'm showing you today, but I think I have a lot of teachers that will still take a PDF, take a Google Doc, turn it into a PDF, and email it out. Or they'll take a Google Doc, turn it into a PDF, and put it up on the website. And I just keep saying, you don't have to do that. And I feel like when you turn a Google Doc into a PDF, you just killed it, right? You just killed it. You had a great collaborative document that's dynamic. You can edit it later. You can make changes, and you turn it into a static document. So at all costs, I avoid turning Google Docs into PDFs. All right. All right. So I really want to emphasize, people don't even look at this half of the screen sometimes. They go straight down here and start typing in names. I think people love that auto-populate where it gets people's names, but you don't have to do that. Yeah, you don't have. Is another way to share, and what I ask you is, how do you share with people outside of your domain? When I mean domain, I mean from a technical perspective. You're, forestparkschools.org for me. How do you share with people that aren't students or faculty members in your school? How do you share with the community? How do you share with parents? How do you share with other educators? And you can't just type their name in there. I guess you could if you know all their email addresses and if you know they have a Google account. But the links are a great way to get your Google Docs to those people. Okay. The first thing you have to do is change the permission. Now, you've got to change the permission. By default, only the people who have their names listed can see the document based on the link. That's the default setting. So you just click that and you change that. And you've got a couple options. Again, by default, it's private. I usually just make it anyone with link. I don't know there's a whole lot of difference between public on the web and anyone with link, but I think public on the web might make it searchable. So I usually will just change it to anyone with link. Another setting, and I'll talk about that a little later, is the can view. Okay? So be aware you can give people edit access, but you obviously want to be careful what you do with that one. Okay? So from there, you're just going to take that link, and you can copy and paste it. Anywhere you can put a link, you can put that. And it just becomes a really powerful way to share and not lose some of the great features of Google Docs. If you're putting PDFs on websites, I know I've managed websites for schools. You take PDFs, you put them up there, then the teacher emails you and there's a change. You got to download the PDF and upload another PDF. With Google Doc, if you put the link up there, you just go in there and you change it. Or you can make the teacher or the administrator responsible for changing it on their own. So it really streamlines things to be able to copy and paste that link. A couple other things on this in this spot that makes it really easy. Just click and send an email, and you can send that email. As long as you've given people access, don't send the email and have it still be private. It won't work. Okay? Social media. I was in a meeting with a web developer, and I think he told some people that social media is not a good way to share documents. I just said, no, it is. It's a great way to share documents, and it makes it really easy. You just click one of these buttons, and you can post a document to Twitter. You can post a syllabus. You can post an assignment. You can post it to Google+, Facebook. Really easy to do. Again, you got to make sure you change the permissions. Okay? Links in docs. Do you guys do this? You guys put links in docs? Yeah, it's a great way. You've got 5 documents that are all interrelated. Put a link to a document. Put a link to a spreadsheet. If you want students to have access to data in a spreadsheet, you can put it in there. So link your docs inside of docs. I do that all the time, and it makes it really easy to navigate between several different documents or several different items. Okay. You guys use URL shorteners? Goo.gl is the Google one. and I use it all the time. It's a great way to get links out there. That's, when I put them in my presentations, I use goo.gl. Something you may not have noticed or taken advantage of is the analytics. This is great. When I send an email out to my 100 teachers asking them to click a link and take a survey or click a link and do something, I'm going to know how many people have clicked it. So you get analytics. You can see what browser they're using, the click count. And I did intentionally click my goo.gl one that had the highest click count. But so this is, just go to goo.gl. Okay, goo.gl. Okay. Yeah, if you guys have questions, ask away. I appreciate you asking that. Sometimes I go too fast. Once you make the link, and I could show this, once you make the link, you can click on, I think it says show details, and it'll give you all the analytics for the link. It's really easy. You paste the link in, click shorten URL, and I think if you're signed into your Google account, it'll save all of them for you. So you'll have a record of them. And then you can get, just click view details, I think it is, and you'll get all the analytics. Okay. Another great feature of goo.gl is QR codes. And I know there's lots of ways to make QR codes, but the reason I use goo.gl is it's one less password to remember. There's Bitly, there's tinyURL, there's other ones out there, but with goo.gl, I'm signed in. It saves them all with my Google account, and the fewer sign-ins, the better. I think everyone agrees on that. And so QR codes, I don't have to go into some of the cool things you do with QR codes, but you can get QR codes to your Google Doc, to your Google presentation, to a spreadsheet. All that stuff, you just use goo.gl. So that's a great feature I think a lot of people don't utilize. And then just write it on the board. I think we forget about that sometimes. I want students to get to a document. We try to email it to them, then they got to go into their email. Sometimes that's not the fastest way. Just write it on the board, and the kids can type it into the browser. Sometimes with quizzes where you don't want them to be out there ahead of time, so that's a good way to get it out there sometimes with goo.gl. How about publish to the web? Have you guys ever used publish to the web? No? It's a really awesome feature. You can, instead of sharing the link to the document, you can publish it to the web. It turns your Google Docs into kind of like a web page. It changes the format a little bit. The look and feel is different. It won't look like an editable document anymore. You lose even if it's view only, when you do it the other way, you get the menu bar and all that stuff. So this kind of turns it into a web page. So it makes the view maybe a little bit cleaner if you're sharing information with the community and you want it to feel like you're editing a web page and not looking at a document. It's another way to do it. A couple cool tricks that I've used with Publish to the Web, though, is embedding a presentation. What an awesome way to get a slideshow on a website. You guys ever try to do slideshows on websites of like images or announcements? If you're in a presentation, you go Publish to the Web, you get all these options. You get an embed code. You can adjust the width. You can adjust the height. You can set it to when it auto advances. You can start it as soon as it loads. And you can restart at the last slide. So when I worked in elementary school, on our website, we looked at a couple sliders, and you can get some flash, image sliders, and there's some other options to go, jQuery, but they all started being too complex. I made a Google presentation, shared it out with my teachers, and they could add slides. And they could edit their own content and put announcements up on the website really, really easily. So that's a great use. Or if you just want to have photo slideshows, you can just put pictures on a Google presentation, make them take up the whole slide, and now you've got rotating images on your web page. So that's Publish to the Web. I think it's a great feature. Something else I've used with Publish to the Web with spreadsheets are web counters. I was, for a short 2 years, I was a yearbook advisor, which was not one of my favorite things to do, but I don't know if anyone has ever had the pleasure of being a yearbook advisor. I did that for a couple years, and in the end, you got to sell all these yearbooks, and I hate selling stuff. But one of the ways that I found to motivate people to buy was I put a counter on the web page. So my yearbook staff would, every time someone purchased a yearbook, they would do a Google Form submission, and that would up the tally of how many had been purchased. And then I did, do a little Excel or a little Google spreadsheet, I should say, and subtract and have a total of how many yearbooks are available, basically. And I just embedded that on the front of our web page. Get your yearbook now. There's only blank left. So that's just one application, but think of all the things you could do where people submit forms and numbers change. Conference attendees, if you have a limited number of seats for a conference, or if you wanted to show off how many people have done something, you can dynamically change numbers from a Google spreadsheet on a website. So that's a great feature of Publish to the Web. How am I doing on time? Okay, good. All right. And then something else, you can give edit access. You can give edit access when you, excuse me, when you share a link. You may want to be careful of that. You probably don't want to put your syllabus up there and give edit access. Your kids would have a little bit too much fun with that. But think about parents. What if you're having a class party and you want to have parents decide what to bring? You could do a Google form and have them submit what they're bringing, but then you might get some overlap, and they don't, you want them to see what everyone else is bringing. So you could have a Google spreadsheet and have categories, who's bringing in this type of food, and the parents can actually type in what they're bringing. That's just one example. So sometimes giving edit access to people who don't have to sign in is useful. So that's another great feature that I think people don't utilize often enough. Okay. So that's all I've got. I hope you guys will take a minute and do the evaluation if you have time. And please give links a little bit of love, okay? Because there's some really cool ways to use them. All right. Thanks a lot.